Joining us now is Professor Ed Galea, Director of Fire Safety Engineering Group at the University of Greenwich. Very good to have you with us, Professor. I'll start with a general question, if I may, and then perhaps zoom in on some more specific issues. But is it your view that 5 years on, a fire like Grenfell, which caused so many deaths in a tower block, couldn't happen again?
Well, unfortunately, I think a fire like Grenfell, or very similar to Grenfell, could happen again. Because we still haven't resolved the issue with cladding, and it's not just the ACM, it's other types of cladding as well. And also, I don't believe we've really addressed the root cause as to why so many people died in Grenfell.
And what do you think that was? Well,
I think the real tragedy, of Grenfell is that it was a failed evacuation. And it escapes me why the inquiry hasn't focused on this and the government hasn't focused on this. Everyone seems to be fixated on fixing the widget problem, i.e. the cladding problem that resulted in the fire and the rapid spread. But what Grenfell is telling us is we don't have resilience, we don't have sufficient resilience in our buildings and in our procedures. Had there been a plan B for Grenfell, for the Grenfell Tower building, that is an evacuation plan which includes PEEPs for the disabled, and had the fire and rescue service had a plan B as well, i.e. emergency evacuation, I don't think anyone would have necessarily died at Grenfell.
That answer requires us, I think, to rewind to what Plan A was, doesn't it? Which is the plan that was followed on the night, which, if I'm right in following your logic, was the order that residents should stay put in case of a fire. Are you saying that our fire strategy hasn't changed much since then?
No, it hasn't changed a jot. I mean, we have, the government has, and some people in the fire industry have a semi-religious faith in the infallibility of stay put. And even from a simple engineering point of view, this is a nonsense. It's ridiculous. Yes, stay put and what stay put's based on is what's known as compartmentation. You try and contain the fire. And yes, that works in the majority of cases. But as Grenfell has shown us, and as Lakanal House has shown us, when it fails catastrophically, leading to large loss of life. And so we need to have a backup plan. What happens when the stay put fails? We need an evacuation plan.
And what does that plan be? What does that evacuation plan look like then?
Well, it's a range of things. First of all, the residents in the building need to be aware that they have to move from a stay put philosophy to evacuate. So there needs to be a detection system and an alarm system. It is hard to believe our high-rise residential buildings have no detection or alarm systems, and there's no plan to change that. Okay. And secondly, for all the disabled residents, remember that 40% of the disabled residents, the disabled occupants of Grenfell, perished in the fire. That's because they can't necessarily self-evacuate. And what a PEEP does, a personal emergency evacuation plan, is provide mitigation, provides a plan for how the disabled person is able to evacuate from the building. We don't have that. And so, you know, there's a high probability that if there's another catastrophic fire, not necessarily because of cladding, it could be because of something else, voids. It could be because, you know, of a range of other issues. We still don't have a plan B for assisted evacuation of disabled people, and even a plan for the non-disabled residents.
Okay, so we don't have, you're saying, a plan B. In terms of plan A, the stay put, the government is saying that stay put remains a good strategy for the majority of buildings. I did have one specific question on that, though. Is there a danger that people will actually ignore that advice? They won't stay put, they'll just get out on their own, ignoring advice after seeing what happened at Grenfell, and that risks causing even more chaos?
Well, yes, there is a possibility of that, but can you blame people for that? I mean, if they know that there is no way to inform them of the fact that their building has failed, as in Grenfell. There was no way for we couldn't even contact the people to let them know that the building had failed and they had to evacuate. So if you don't even provide a means for evacuation, of detection and alarm, then of course people are going to want to evacuate. I wouldn't stay in a building where I thought there was a fire in the building and it might not be contained. I'm not going to stay in that building. I'm going to get out as quickly as I can. So you need to have, we need to look at all of our legacy high-rise buildings and consider how we can introduce a detection and an alarm system. What the government is proposing is an AES, an emergency alarm system that the fire service can activate. No detection, just an alarm system, and that's a good move. But they're only suggesting that for at-risk buildings at the moment. These are buildings that have got the cladding problem. We need an alarm system and a detection system in all of our legacy buildings so that people can be made aware of when they have to evacuate. And that will be very rare. They won't have to evacuate very often because the fire will be contained in most cases.
Professor Ed Galea from the University of Greenwich, we're out of time, but really good to hear your thoughts and insights. Many thanks.
Thank you.